Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Margaret Fuller says, "Today a reader, tomorrow a leader." Reading is not just important for acquiring knowledge, it will help you build your vocabulary and range in English too. Adopt reading habit to become a leader. Let us start our study about folklore today. Let's see what is pop culture, what is elite culture, and what is folk culture. Pop culture. The media passes it down. It has short lifespan. Author is traceable. So pop culture is that culture which is transmitted through media, and it has a very short time period, and author is known. Fine culture. Media passes down, author is known, long lifespan. Folk culture. Roots of the other two, passed along verbally, rarely by media, usually told among friends, passed by visual perception, no known author, lives basically forever. So folk culture is related to folk, people of a country or a culture, and it is transmitted or transferred from generation to generation verbally, and it has no known author. Let's see elements of folklore. Folklore is the traditional beliefs, customs, stories, songs, and dances of a culture. It is a verbal tradition and is based on the lives of the common people. Okay, so folklore is that type of a story which is based on the lives of a common people, and in which we can see traditional beliefs, customs, stories, songs, and dances of a culture. It is transferred from generation to generation. Okay, let's see characterization. Element number 1. Characters are typically flat, usually very good or very bad, with most characteristics exaggerated. The hero and heroine are usually young and may have special abilities and powers. So characters of this folklore are typically flat. They can be good or bad, and characters are exaggerated, and hero or heroine may have special powers. Setting. Place usually describes easily and briefly, leaving the reader's imagination to fill in the gaps. Example: magical kingdom, cottage in the woods. Time. In a fantasy time or vague time period. Example: once upon a time or a long time ago. So time period is also not known in the setting. Okay, next element of folklore: plot. Interesting but very simple. The plot will be very simple. It is full of action. It has simple pattern. Start quick and grabs the attention of the reader. Conflict is usually resolved with heroic deeds or kindness. Theme typically some form of good versus evil or right versus wrong. So we got to know that plot is full of action. It is very simple and it starts quickly, and conflict is revolved around the hero, and it is resolved with heroic deeds or kindness. Theme typically we have got to know that it good versus evil or right versus wrong. Types of folklore. There are different types. The following are examples of folklore that is used in modern day literature. Number 1, riddles. Number 2, fairy tales. Number 3, proverbs. Number 4, folk tales. Number 5, legends. Number 6, urban legends. Number 7, ghost stories. Number 5, superstitions. Let us see them in detail. Riddles. This is the oldest form of written folklore we have. It is a question with an unexpected answer. There are 3 major parts to a riddle. Number 1 is description, number 2 is the block, and number 3 is the answer. In Urdu we say it peheli. Okay, and Example, a riddle, a hole in the middle. What am I? So answer is a donut. So this is a riddle. Proverbs, oldest form of verbal genre but has passed into literary works. Let's see its definition. Brief popular saying in relatively fixed format, cannot be a single word, such as fiddlesticks. Example, get your ducks in a row. A rolling stone gathers no moss. Several use similes sweet as sugar or are ironic clear as mud. So proverbs we know in Urdu these are zarbul misl, and they also are very impressive. And for example, a rolling stone gathers no moss, and there are so many. Superstitions. Superstitions are beliefs of the ignorant because they have not factual basis. In Urdu we call superstition तोहिमात. ये वो बिलीफ हैं जो कि जाहिल लोगों के होते हैं क्योंकि इसमें कोई हकीकी बुनियाद नहीं है. सम पीपल एक्चुअली बिलीव देम टू बी ट्रू. कुछ लोग जो हैं इनमें इनको सच समझ के यकीन करते हैं. मोस्ट सुपरस्टिशंस हैव अ counteractive part that will fix whatever the belief is to make it better. Examples of superstition: it is a bad luck if a black cat crosses your path unless you put 3 axes in the air as it does. If you break a mirror, it is 7 years bad luck unless you throw the parts into morning water like a river. It then gives the bad luck to the person that cuts their foot on the shard of glass. If you sweep over a person's foot with a broom, someone is going to die. The house that night. If you hear an owl hoot outside your window, you are going to die. You hear of teams wearing the same shirt or socks for each game as if that is why they win. Players do not shave their beards for the playoffs. So there are so many superstitions which are still in our culture. We believe in them. We believe in them. When the crow crows at a house, and we think that some guests are on the way. Folk tales. Let's see what are folk tales. We have discussed in another video. You can see that video in detail. An anonymous traditional story passed down verbally long before it was written down. So this is anonymous story, and it is also passed down verbally, and it was not written down. Folk tales include animal stories, tricksters, fairy tales, legends, myths, and tall tales. Trickster tales are the ones like Brer Fox and Brer Rabbit. Fairy tales. Fairy tales have some sort of fairy elements to them. These are not the modern day Tinkerbell style creations. Fairies are like myths. They were once believed in and were used to explain the negative or unexplainable things that happen to people. For example, if two dark-haired parents have a child that is blonde, we understand that genetically that can happen. The people of old believed the fairies came and switched their real child with a fairy child, and they would throw the baby into the fire to return it to the fairy parents. Murder not in those days. So fairy tales, there is a fairy element in those stories. Fairies were used to explain negative things as well. If a young person got thin and quit eating, the people of old claimed he or she must have eaten fairy food and will now waste away. The truth, it was probably some form of cancer or other disease. And milk sold, kobold did it, water in a pan by the fire disappears, the pixies drank it, mushrooms grow in a circle in your yard, fairies dance there the night before, that is called a fairy ring, blankets all kicked off the bed at night, you have a Bogart living in your house. So these characters were seen in the picture: kobold, Bogart, pixies, and trolls. Parents told their children about trolls and the bogeyman to keep them from going outside or away from them at night. They used the tales to keep the kids safe at home. Tall tales. A tall tale, a story in which the exploits of a character are exaggerated. When you read one, you expect to find ridiculous and unlikely situations narrated seriously as if the events are true. They rely on certain elements: a hero for the people, deeds that are unbelievable, and character traits that are wildly exaggerated. Examples include Pecos Bill, Ball Bunyan, and John Henry. Let's see the picture of Pecos Bill. Paul Bunyan and his blue ox, John Henry. Urban legends. Some of these may seem more modern because you have heard them from your parents. They are stories easily passed down through the internet. Examples include Bloody Mary, the hook story, or even something as simple as if you see flashing headlights, you will get shot. Rules to follow with urban legends: the people telling them believe they are true. It ruins the fun if you tell them it is not. So urban legends are today's legends, okay, which are transferred through internet. And rules are also followed here. People believe them that they are true, okay. And students, I hope that you will have understood what we have discussed today about folklore and its types and its elements. See you next time, and before that, like, subscribe, and comment on my channel, and also share my video. It will help other people a lot in learning. Learning never stops because life never stops teaching. So see you next time. Allah Hafiz.